Welcome to another episode of the Global Game Pod, where we focus on one thing and one thing only, and that's football.
What a goal from Ronaldo! It is absolutely magnificent! It is David Beckham!
With Coach Rudy and friends, this is Global Game Pod.
Yo, what's happening, people? Welcome to another episode of the Global Game Pod, brought to you by CKB Interiors. You know what to do. You want to buy a kitchen, you want to buy a bedroom. You know, this man's got my guest here right now has got quite a bit of experience with CKB as well, you know. He's done all their media stuff and that. But going on to my guest, this one has been, 10 years in the making, I think.
It's about that, yeah.
Yeah, 10 years in the making. My bro, Zohaib, Zedar, Desi Ballrs, whatever you want to call him. The master of the mic is what I call him. The legend. This is going to be a good one. Trust me, you're not going to be hearing me talk a lot. It's all about him today. But listen, pleasure to have you here, son.
Bro, it's been a long time coming. We've been talking about this for a while. So I thought, you know what? Let's make it happen.
100. And we've got all the time in the world right now, so why not?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm looking at my plans for the rest of the day and I'm thinking, yeah, I got about 6 hours, so if you're happy with that, we do it.
Well, I need to take a little break just so I could go pick up my little man and then I'm back on now. No problem, bro. I could talk to you for hours, bro. Trust me.
Let's not bore the people though, innit? Let's keep it 100. Yeah,
that's exactly it. So just to kick off with, obviously I know you, a couple of the listeners will probably know you, but some of them might not. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, your journey in essence of what it is and what it's been.
All right, so my name is Rashid. As Rudy mentioned, I've had some kind of involvement with Asian football for the last 15 years. I was sports editor at the Eastern Eye newspaper. Started that in 2006. That's when I really got actively involved in Asian football. More Asian sport, but Asian football particular, because obviously there was a big, there's always been an issue about it. And the question has always remained, why do we have a lack of, or why are we not visible, right? So then I thought, okay, cool. What should my role be in this fight? And I thought, okay, as a journalist, my idea is, my aim is to make things visible, bring stories to life. And that's what I spent the last 10, 15 years doing, is bringing the Asian football story to life, focusing on the players that we have, what's happening at the grassroots level. And I've also done that through my other platform, which is Desi Ballrs, which I started in 2010. So it's come up to 10 years this summer.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how, you know, the aim with that was just to show that Asians can play football, because I was so bored of the fact that it was always a negative, like pejorative perspective that people had, even from our own community, but with the wider mainstream community. And if we continue to perpetuate that stereotype or continue to continue that narrative, we're never going to have change. So I thought, okay, what can I do to change it? And that was one way to do it, was to cover Asian footballers at Premier League or at professional and semi-pro level, both in UK and Europe and other parts of the world, and report on them like you would see on the BBC Sports website or the Sky Sports website, because we need to normalise the fact that our guys do play, and girls as well. So we got, Asian male and female footballers who are playing the game or coaching or managing or in boardroom level. We had to normalise that fact, and that's what I tried to do with Desi Ballrs. And here we are in 2020. We're still talking about the issue, but I think we have progressed somewhat as well. And although I haven't been so actively involved on the reporting side the last 2-3 years, I've always kept that vested interest, and I'm always speaking to the people that I make contact with, like the players and the coaches, and just people like yourself, really, and others who are involved in the grassroots level, who are still fighting the fight, but actually doing something about it, and understanding that it's a long-term aim that you have to have. You can't just think something's going to be done with a magic wand and things are going to change. If we don't do anything about it, nothing will happen. But when things are happening and no one's talking about it, it just feels like nothing's happening. So these conversations help to show that there's a lot of things that are happening in the background, and we're always aiming and working towards it. And I think that's what your podcast does. It talks to individuals who are actively involved in the game, and maybe they might not always be in the limelight, but it doesn't mean nothing's happening. And now we're bringing those stories out there through your platform, through my platform, through our friends' platforms as well. And that's where I am today. And just continuing that fire, and still got the passion for it, still got that fire, and then having these conversations make you feel like, look, let's stick it, let's get, move up another level.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the aim. That's the whole aim here. Obviously for me, it's been the 10-year journey with you. So, I met you, what was it, exactly 10 years ago.
Do you know where we met? Where we met?
Wasn't it at the first Asian Football Forum? Why have I got that in my head? Like, I was at Upton Park.
It was at Upton Park.
Yeah, it was at Upton Park.
Yeah. And I just see this. I remember, so the premise of that meeting was we had a few small seminars, discussion groups. And I remember, I think you came to my one. I was doing something on the media and communication side, right? And I remember you were there, and I was like, this guy's got something to say, because I see you whispering and stuff, right? Because obviously at that time, you're kind of, you're your first experience in coming to that kind of environment.
Yeah.
You always seen things from the outside, and now you've been seeing it, and you're thinking, well, these people are just sitting around and talking. What are they doing, kind of thing, right? And then I remember a couple of questions he put to the panel, and it was like, yes. And it was like, this guy's got fire. Mashallah, this guy's got some fire, because one thing you could see that people see that as, oh, you're just criticizing, but the other thing is the passion, right? There's two ways of looking at things, right? And I just said, this kid's got a bit of passion. Let me chat to him, see what it's about. Do you know what I'm saying? And I remember chatting to you, and I can't remember who else was there. One of our other pals was there, and Lit was there as well.
This was there, yeah.
And a couple of others, and you're like, all right, cool. Let me get to know this kid and see what it's about. And then you find out you're from the local ends as well. I'm like, all right, cool. I never got to come down to see what you're doing with Catlands. I apologize about that.
That's fine, man.
Things going on, but just good to see how you progressed and where you are right now with Billy Ricky and also Terran and that kind of thing, and doing this pod. It gives me like confidence, and it makes me feel better that wherever we spoke about 10 years ago, there's still people continuing it, and it's only right to continue the fight and not be disillusioned.
That's exactly it. I mean, the whole point of the podcast is not necessarily just for Asians; it's for anyone in football on any level. Like, so, you've seen the last couple. We've had the league, like chief execs of league and chairmen of leagues and stuff like that. It's just trying to get people who are doing good stuff, but not necessarily getting the limelight at the moment. And I think that's pretty much the scene with the whole Asians in football. In reality, when you break it down, there's a lot of us doing a lot of things, and there's no one, apart from people like yourselves and having that, on a like a YouTube scale, for example, because we're in the age of social media. Do you understand? I think times have moved on. Where we were 10 years ago, we're talking about newspaper articles, and then now we're talking about YouTube, TV, and all the rest of it. And I think it's a lot easier in one way to open these doors up now and bring these people on here. And at a time like this where no one knows what's kind of happening, when are we getting back onto the pitch? When are we going back to sessions? And none more so than me. I'm anxious. I'm just itching now. I want to get back out on that football pitch, but I know it ain't going to happen anytime soon. So we have to find another means. And this is probably it for me. Like, just bring people like yourself on and to get your story heard as well. Because normally you're on this side of the seat. So it's kind of nice.
I'm not even on that side of the seat. I'm behind the camera, bro.
Yeah, that's
completely behind.
That's exactly it. And it's nice to have you like at the forefront. You get me? Because it's like you don't necessarily have to be a player or a coach or in a boardroom or doing all those things. Sometimes you can be behind the camera, but still deserve some recognition. And I think it's time someone like yourself, 15 years later, did get some recognition in what you've done so far and what you're aiming to do in the future. Because I know the future's looking bright. Based on some conversations we've had over the weekend, the future looks kind of bright. If you want to give people some insight into those conversations as to where they're leading and what's about to happen and what's about to change, or is it about to change, or is it just another branch we're adding?
I think, judging by our conversation and just conversations I've had in the last decade with yourself and others as well, it's about one thing we lack is visibility. Okay, and that's important because how many times I've spoken to Asian footballers and said, did you see any other Asians around when you were coming up in the game? And the number one thing was, no, I did not see another brown face. And you think, would that have helped you as a young player if you saw a coach or if you saw someone in the admin team or someone in the boardroom or like that, just as a solace, because you're going into an environment which, let's get it right. And you mentioned something about this podcast not just being about Asian football, it's about just football in general. But imagine take a young kid, regardless of what background he is, and you put him into a professional environment. It's a sink and swim situation, and he needs some kind of comfort there to say, right, I can survive in this environment because someone from my ends or someone from my school or my college or my family or whatever has made it. And when we look at from an Asian perspective, thinking if one brown face is there, regardless of whether they will see themselves as that role model or whatever, it's just a bit of comfort, right? And for me, it's always about how do we make that how do we make ourselves visible, right? And my thing was all about media, right? So with media, you can make things visible. So you have an agenda and you push the agenda in whichever way you want to go, right? So my thing was, let's make as many people visible as possible. Now, on the back of that, you then get things like the Asian Football Awards. It happens once every 2 years, but that one time you got X amount of brown faces all involved in the game coming together. And you're like, damn, there's that many?
Yeah.
Right? But it's not a surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise. It's just that they've never been in one room together. You never have those opportunities. What then happens there, it fades away, and then it's 2 years later, then the awards happen again. It's like, oh, wow. And then it's like Groundhog Day. You're like, wow, that's them, just that many each. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the conversation we've been having is about how do we keep that visibility constant, right? How do we constantly put that visibility of Asian people and involved in football out there at all times? Not just and actually taking a model that's going to spread across the country to empower us all. And then you're thinking, okay, we look at what strengths people are bringing. So you have to, you know, the elements, you can bring all the different elements together. That's from the footballing playing side, non-playing side, the coaching side, the media side, the business side. Bring around like-minded individuals who would then put this agenda out there and constantly be putting different types of content out there to different types of audience to get that visibility there. To say there is, there's a coach in East London. Do you know what? Then if a parent sees that and said, do you know what, I might bring him to that. I might bring my kid to that coaching session now. That might be one more kid who comes to your coaching session.
Yeah.
It might be one more player, or if you got, just say you got someone who likes collecting football shirts. I see the Ronaldo shirt behind you, right? And you think, all right, cool. I didn't know, like, say people like Jan Danders play for Swansea. See, I might go get his shirt. That's one more person wearing his shirt. It's just constant visibility, and then starting a positive chain reaction to go, okay, cool. We've got a place in this football society. Our conversation, there's plenty more we can say, but I think it will just develop in this conversation that we have as well about what we want to do and what our blue sky thinking is. And I think you have to have that, because somewhere in that blue sky, like idealistic thinking process is something that's practical and tangible that will come out of it. We don't want to just talk and nothing comes from it, but equally we're not saying whatever we're going to do is going to change lives instantly. It's going to be a gradual thing, but you just don't know what's going to catch.
Exactly. I think it's very important to state, like, obviously we keep your journey is 15 years. I've been coaching by 11 odd years now. And I think it's fair to let's just use that Upton Park as our start off on our ground, our base. Not that club, but the actual ground itself. But that first initial meeting that we had, and like you said, like you mentioned, it was the first time I've ever been in an environment like that. And the first question that popped into my head when I was in there, and this is the reality. This is just, I'm sitting in there, I'm looking at all these people. I'm not in awe of anything. I'm not in awe that there's so many Asians in the game, because where we come from on our side, there's plenty of participation at grassroots level from Asians. So to me, that was nothing abnormal. Seeing that many Asians in a room wasn't abnormal. What was abnormal was the fact that it was being highlighted, like Asians in football forum. 10 years later, I just went to I don't know if you were at the last one, but we just went to the one at Valence. So that conversation has been happening from Upton Park all the way to Valence in a span of 10 years. And reality, when I sit there and I look, we look older. The faces are still the same. Okay, there's a few youngsters involved in it now as well. A few more youngsters coming through. Not that many, surprisingly, not that many. And a lot of it is the old guard still there, kind of thing, listening to the same conversation that we were listening to 10 years ago. And that's what my initial thought process then is, right, so when do I get invited to the Blacks in Football forum? When am I going to be invited to the Whites in Football forum? Oh, wait, there ain't any. Do you understand? Like, and that was my thought process then. But you got to remember, I was young, naive. I was all the rest of it as well. And I kind of understand the concept. People think I hate the FA. I don't hate the FA. I like the FA. They do what they've got to do. You understand? Is it right? Is it wrong? People can have their own opinions at the end of the day. For me, it's just a case of, like what you're saying, innit? Like, maybe I was a bit negative-minded. Maybe I was that guy who was sitting there saying, well, why you keep doing this stuff? Do something, like, make change now. I need it to be instant. 10 years later, have they made a massive dent in the Asian football market? No, probably not. But then you've got the likes of Taff, who's been with the England setup. You've got, however you want to look at it, like, people will look at it as, it's just a tick box exercise, which it is. Don't get it twisted. It is. It's a tick box exercise, but there's positives that come out of it as well. And I think I'm changing my mind slowly but surely, in a sense where, you know what? Each one of these forums brings something to the table. And it may not be what the FA is doing. It may just be that, you know what? I'm going to meet somebody else in the game who I'll be able to benefit and who'll be able to benefit me. And that's my next, like, another notch on my belt. So I'm moving forward and I'm constantly creeping. And the more you pull that rope, the more you pull, you're going to get to the end eventually. You understand? And that is what I think these forums bring. Not all that statistics and all that nonsense. I'm not even paying attention to it because it's just, I don't know where they bring these numbers from. They just out of the sky. I don't know. You understand? And I think if you remember 10 years ago, it was when Trevor Booking was on the panel. And it was, I thought about 10 times before putting my hand up. Let's not get it twisted, yeah? I knew who I was talking to. But I was like, you know what? I'm only going to be able to make the most noise here. And people are only going to want to get to know me if I challenge someone like him. It's very easy to challenge a small, when I say this in the nicest way, but a small brown guy sitting on the panel. It's very easy to challenge that. But how many of people in this room are going to challenge Trevor Booking when he's in the middle of his conversation? And for him to make that statement, which he did, is that there's not enough representation at grassroots. It was a trigger point for me because I was like, wait a minute, we're in the middle of Green Street and you're in my neck of the woods and you're telling me there's no representation of grassroots. No, you're lying. You understand? Yeah. It's based on statistics and based on things that you have not seen. And that's where I am with this right now. Where are you with it? What's your take on 10 years from that day to now? Asians in football, have we taken steps forward, or what's going on from your perspective? Because you see it, you know the players. I could name you an Asian player, and you'll be able to tell me the whole history, like from weight to height to everything.
Not that deep, but it's so. Let me put it this way, right? So 10 years ago, you say you had Trevor Booking on the panel, okay? And as you know, he's a legend in a footballing sense. Was he the right person to put up on the panel? Probably not. 10 years later, who's on the panel now?
Not me.
Soon come. But you're seeing who's on the panel. You can have the likes of Litz and Dr. Zaf and
100%.
Well, now for Asian people who are involved in the game, right, are now on the panel talking back to their own peers from society. 10 years ago, it weren't that. When I did my first interview with someone from the FA in 2006, right, that was with Brendan Batson, and he was in charge of this task force, and he was doing something in the Midlands, and he made this comment to me, right, and I remember I've just started my journalism career in 2006, right, and he said to me, if we're still talking about the Asian issue in 5 years' time, then we've failed as a society. Mm. Well, in 2011, you failed then, haven't you? If we went by that basis, okay? Yeah. I think when people make throwaway comments like that, and everyone's looking for sound bites. This is obviously, I'm being involved in the media and journalistic field, and the reason I don't really talk too much on this side of the camera is because everyone's looking for a sound bite to then hook onto and then catch you out on. Mm. And that's why whenever I talk to anyone from the FA and these other institutions, is that don't put people up just for sound bites. You need to give them the whole truth, or they need to know what they're talking about. And if they don't know, they have to admit they don't know what they're talking about. It's fine. It's okay to say you've got limitations in your knowledge, right? Rather than saying, "Oh, I reckon it's a throwaway comment," like I said, in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
I will never put time for things. Now, you're saying what's happened in the last 10 years. Like, one thing is obviously saying that on panels now you're seeing more brown faces on the panel. Okay, that's a forward step. You mentioned people like Taff. Now, Taff 10 years ago, he was
in that room with us.
He was in the room, but 10 years ago, where he was not where he is now. He was just coming up in his coaching career, playing career, come to an abrupt end, and now he was finding path into the coaching side. And now you've seen him with the age group England team doing the coaching session with them. Who's out with was it Guyana in the Gold Cup as well.
Yeah,
those are big moves. So when you say that have people returned progression, we have seen pockets 100%. Of progression, of course. Say 2006, who were the footballers then that we had? We had Zesh, we had Anwar Uddin, we had Michael Chopra, Harpal Singh. In 10 years' time, how far did their careers progress? You've got Zesh still playing as a professional player. Michael Chopra only retired, 2-3 seasons ago. Harpal Singh, obviously, a few years ago before that. But then you see this new batch of players who are coming through who are actually playing. They weren't like these guys were on the bench, coming off the bench and maybe part of the squad. Now we're seeing players like Danny Bart and Jan Danda and a few others who are actually like Mal Benning, who are first team players or in the first team squad. Is that progress?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you know what I mean? It depends what your marker of
progress it depends means.
And one thing you mentioned about, sorry, I was going to say one thing that you mentioned about grassroots football, what Trevor Brookins said, right? Well, do we know what grassroots football actually means, right? Because grassroots can be anything below, like from step 5 and below, okay? From a like senior football kind of thing, from a men's football perspective. But then you got all the coaching side of things as well, right? Got all these like academies and things like that. They're vast. It's massive.
Yeah.
It's all about, okay, there was a stat I was reading, I think when the Asian Football Awards took place, there was a stat about Asian males are most likely to play football, in their spare time and hobby, like going five-a-side and things like that, right? So obviously participation, when you talk about playing again, I play twice a week. You obviously still play as well, even though you're doing coaching, you still play? Not anymore?
No chance, bro.
But do you know what I'm saying? Like, I still play twice a week. Well, I paid to play, but I still play. So if you're talking about, are we interested in playing the game? Yeah, we're playing the game, but what level are we playing? That's a different question, isn't it? And then talking about, okay, do we understand what pathways exist? Like you can just say for East London, for example, you've got the Bangladesh Football Association. They've got their own summer league and winter league, right? But is that ever going to infiltrate the football pyramid?
No.
But they've got one team that does infiltrate it, the Sporting Bengal team, which is in step 5 in Essex Senior. Now, they've been going since 96, I think, if I'm correct. Or 2006. I can't remember which one it is. They've been going for like 25 years or so, right?
Yeah.
What steps have they taken? You can say, oh, well, they've not progressed up the league. They've always stayed at step 5 and that's all they've ever been at. But then, do you know how difficult it is to be playing at that level?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Do you know how hard it is to sustain a club with all the infrastructure and all the bureaucracy and all the kind of standard measures that you have to have in place to be a club in that league? All the kind of what do you call it? There's a criteria that you have to adhere to year in, year out. There's a cost that you have to have. You have to have your own clubhouse. You have to have your own pitch. You have to pay the referees and all that. Do you know how hard that is? Like you take care of all of that, and it's run by people who started off being well-intentioned, and now they're experienced in it. And obviously, if you go speak to them, they're going to have a certain mindset. It's like, well, it is hard work. It is hard to be here. You had London APSA. Like for me, I have a personal affinity to London APSA, right? And I used to go watch them play, and I knew who the boys there as well. They were, from my opinion, at a period, one of the best teams I've seen in step 5.
Yeah. At
times, they were, when you have people like Titch and a few others, right, they would wipe the floor with any team. I remember going to see one game at Old Spotted Dog, and that other team, the opposition, did not touch the ball in that first half. They also, and these guys were just playing for fun. And you're like, these guys are amazing. Like, how can we then push this on? And this is what I want people to know about. And we said, I should put it in the paper and talk about these guys. And that in terms of participation, that was amazing. And then, like, their representation as well, because then they will end up playing in the FA Cup. Like, who doesn't want to play in the FA Cup?
Yeah. I mean, I had the luxury of coaching that side. Do you understand? So, 5 years ago, so 2015, I think it was, when I was the first team coach at Newham. I think all the old guard had gone by then. I think the only one remaining was Baps. And then Bilal came on to join my coaching staff at R77 as well for a season.
Is it?
He wanted to learn about the coaching side of things and stuff like that. So we brought him on. He took my under 16. He won a cup final with us as well. So yeah, I've got my own little, but I've got my own frustration with teams like that as well.
Oh, no doubt.
Because I don't think they kicked on. I don't think they used their platform the way. Let me be polite about this. I think the old generation had their own desire and ambition, and it stopped when they stopped. And the new generation is working a little bit differently with, like, especially, I can only speak on my own behalf and people around me in my circle, but we're here to create legacies.
Yeah.
We ain't here to create short history.
Yeah.
You understand? We want to be running in 50 years' time, 100 years' time. We want people to know, we want our grandkids to know that, hey, listen, my great-great-great-great-great-granddad is the founder of this. Do you understand? And it was one of the reasons why I opted for R77. I could have called myself anything. You understand? You know, when you're picking a name, you pick whatever the hell you want. You know, nobody can stop you from picking whatever you want. London Apps and all of them have picked their own names. When it came to me, it was a question of, what do I want this to be remembered as? And right from the offset, from day one, from the first time I put down on a piece of paper what the next plan was or next move was, it was, this is going to be a legacy. And if it's going to be a legacy, that means we ain't talking about these 20 years or 30 years that I'll be involved in it. We're talking about in 50, 60, 70 years time, what do I want them to remember? And if I can leave that small legacy of myself in the grassroots game, you know what? I've done my bit. And now it's now it's for the next generation to carry the banner, and then that, and that's why when I went to pick my coaching staff, so yeah, people watching this will probably say, you're talking about London Apps, but what did you do with Catalan? Truth, yeah, and I think I was a bit smart and a bit ahead of my time a little bit in a way which I didn't understand then, but it all came together because I was selfish to begin with. Initially, I was selfish. I'm going to be straight up and honest about it. Initially, I was selfish. I was like, you know what? I can do this stuff on my own. Like, I don't need the FA. I don't need that Tom, Dick and Harry. I don't need London Apsa. I don't need London Bari. I don't need AC Milan. I don't need none of these people. I'll do it myself. I'll show them. And that is my initial, that's the truth. Yeah, so a lot of people are going to be like, rah, okay, Rudy, is that you? But that's the truth. I was a bit selfish at the time, young and dumb, like I said. 2 years in, when I took my boys, like my boys were playing under 18. We went in the season undefeated. We won everything. We now had to go men's football. And my thing is I think I've got the best youngsters in the whole of East London. I think I've got the best youngsters in the whole of East London. Naive, remember, I'm naive as well. Forget Division 3, Division 2, Division 1. We're going to the Prem. I'm taking a bunch of 17-year-olds. We're going to the Prem. And we finished bottom that season. We finished bottom as top scorers in the league. You try to do the maths here. We were losing games, but we were scoring 12 goals a game, 6 goals a game, 7 goals a game. Our averages were stupid, but we just kept conceding. And that was all down to the inexperience. Then came the politics of men's football. And then I started to understand that, you know what these guys are doing at APSA and at Milano, and they deserve some credit, because not only are they dealing with the day-to-day runnings of the club, but they got to deal with these politics as well all the time. friend circles, players wanting to go here and there just for the sake of it. Players like causing a little bit of storm. I always call players divas. That's what they are. At all levels, all footballers are divas, from 5 years old all the way up to the pro game. They're all divas. Yeah? Because fair play to them. They're the ones that are going out on the pitch and winning games and scoring goals and doing their thing. So they have a right to be as cocky as they want to be at times. You understand?
Yeah.
And as coaches, we're just shying instructions.
Yeah, of course.
You understand? That's coaches. We're just shying instructions. Definitely. I mean, we listen to you, but I'm going to go out there and win you the game. So stop. And I think the mindset started changing a little bit. So when I started our 7, I was like, all right, I know I folded Catalans, but it's time to bring them all back. And it's time to be Catalans 2.0 under my own banner, but make these boys into coaches. And these are boys at 23, 24 years old in the prime of their football career. They could be playing Sunday, whatever they want. And I've got to persuade them that, you know what? Forget that. Come and coach. And they all, like, majority of them jumped on and they're still here with me today. So that Catalan journey ain't ended, it ain't faded. But then when you think about it, I went to Redbridge, I coached the under 14s, under 15s. I've got a group of their boys coaching. I then went to Newham, I had Bills come in coaching, you know, and then R77 started. So everywhere I've been, players are now coaching for me. I look at that and think, okay, so those bits of history that I created are forming this one legacy that I'm trying to create. And now it's time for the next level. And that's why when Billericay came knocking, I was like, right, you guys are sustainable. You guys know what you're doing. I'm leaving this to you 30 years earlier than I should be. But it's yours now. You do the day-to-day running. You figure out the coaching staff. You figure out who's managing what team. And I'm going on a different journey because I've opened your doors here, but this is not the be-all, end-all. This is just a platform. This is just the initial step. Me opening that door at Billericay, we're going that way now. Now we want to try and move upwards. And I think that was what we were trying to do. You understand? So when we go back 10 years all over again, and then we say, like someone like London Napsa, that's my disappointment in it. Because today, where is London Napsa? You understand?
No, I heard that.
So for someone like you who went to watch them in the FA Cup, all you now got is a little piece of history. But where are they? Why haven't they moved forward? So yeah, in terms of progression, I understand your point that there are individuals who have progressed. But as a community, as a unit, have we really? Have we gone backwards a little bit?
You're saying, all right, that's a question you pose, but then you just talk about your own journey just now.
Yeah.
Yeah? That you started grassroots with unknown with these players who 10 years later and are coaching and running your school. 10 years ago, there was no one that you could count on to run your vision. So 10 years later, you've done that. Meanwhile, you've gone up in the pyramid structure. You've gone from entering men's league to now being where are Billericay now? What?
Step 2.
Step 3? Step 2.
Step 2. Yeah.
Would you not say that's progression?
Individual progression, though.
But are there not others who've got the same progression as well?
But then I look around.
You just don't know their story.
I look around. Okay, so I can only speak on what I see. So I look around the National League South, yeah? We're talking about Conference South. When I say National League South, people think, what is that? Just another league. Conference South. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Conference South. This is one.
Sorry, pal.
Yeah, that's fine. I see you now.
Yeah.
So this is one step away from a full-time football club. From being a full-time football club. One promotion away from being a full-time football club. That's the level I'm at. I look around the dugouts every single week with the hope of seeing one more Asian face. It's a hope inside me. I don't say it out loudly, but it's a hope inside me that, you know what? I hope that whoever we're playing this week has an Asian coach. I hope whoever we're playing, not one. And that to me is a progression. That's just my own individual progression. Yeah, I understand that some people might say, well, then Rudy, you're carrying the banner then, aren't you? How you conduct yourself, how you behave, how you are on the dugout, how you impose yourself at this club may be an opportunity for other Asians to come through, you know, because other teams will be looking at you as the guy with the flag bearer, basically, at that level, at step 2 level. But for me, when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, I thought I was following. I thought I was the one who was going to come into this level and another Asian coach would be like, Right, here comes another one. Here comes another. Do you understand? I didn't expect to be the one there and be like, am I the only one here? Where my people at? Do you get it?
I get that. I get that. I get it. And I think that's the frustration that people have had for the longest time. Not necessarily about when I was talking to these players when they're coming through that they never saw another brown face, right? They are frustrations. Don't get me wrong, but there's something that you mentioned about ambitions and dreams, right? Imagine you fight so long, yeah. The fight to get to a certain point is so long. Like when I wanted to be a journalist, right? There were so many barriers I already had from my own house. Well intentioned as well. I'm not going to say they stopped me, but they said, look, you don't know anyone. You don't know what the industry is like. You don't know how they're going to treat you, how they're going to see you. You have no something to fall back on. There is no understanding what the pathway is. Do you still want to go down this pathway? And I'm like, yeah, why not? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, let's see what happens. Yeah. But remember, I'm a kid from East London. Like, born and bred in Forest Gate. And I'm thinking, but then I started doing my own research. I started looking around thinking, is there anyone out there? Because that's my mind is always inquisitive. It's always like curious. That's why, I spend time looking at, people's individual journeys like yourself and other people who are known and unknown. The reason being is because those journeys are what give me confidence. The next step is then tell people about the journey. Like, let me put it this way, Rid. How many people know that you are Billericay? Outside of your circle, how many know that Ridwan Youssef is at Billericay?
Fair amount, I would say.
Would you?
Yeah, I think a fair amount.
Man on the street.
Well, not man on the street. I'm not talking about but when you say outside my circle, you mean outside my immediate circle, or
yeah, outside your friend circle,
outside the
your
East London zone.
Let's just say, if you went downtown Hamlet, seeing there's some football boys down there. Right?
They're probably there. Wouldn't know.
They wouldn't know, right? Yeah. So that's the first step. The first step is to empower our own communities, educate them, and empower them with that information. Right. The first thing they're going to ask you is, "Can you get me a trial?"
Yeah.
Right. But you'll be like, "If you're good enough, then why not?"
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been doing that anyway. I've been trying.
The thing is, the only way to long and short of it, you could say, yeah, progression has been so slow in the last 10 years. But look at what's happened in the last 10 years as well as a society, right? We've had extreme cuts that have happened in society, like financial cuts that have happened to services in society. So then the concern of people is survival. It's not about progression. It's about, can I live to see another day? Can I put food on the table for another day? When you think like that, your idea of long-term vision is very small. So when you talk about, let's say, apps, and I don't want to deal with the service because I kind of understand the ins and outs of it. They had to raise X amount of money every single year. Now, they didn't have the foundation. It's these guys who come together with a vision from a local college and say, let's put a team together. And then all of a sudden, they got this ambition. We want to get into senior league football. And they did that. And then the next step is, who was going to be then there to help them pull them up to the next division or the next level up? Do you get me?
I don't think. I think
then what happens is that what they haven't done, also what you've done, as an example, is given the power to an upcoming generation to carry that legacy forward. It's kind of died with that group. It's like, oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, see,
we're now 40.
That's my frustration. Do you get me? That's my frustration.
That's a lesson, though.
So for me,
that's a lesson. Though.
Of course, 100% is a lesson. It's a great lesson, but it's also really frustrating. I agree. It's also really frustrating because you're right. London Apps were the flag bearers of my youth as well. When I look at London Apps as a youngster, as a 11, 12-year-old playing league football, playing in an Asian league, for example, under 12s and under 13s, under 14s, the only way we were looking was, I need to be in the APSA team one day. One day I'm going to play for APSA. One day I'm going to be in the FA Cup. One day I'm going to be in a position of a Bilal Bats. And I always say Bilal Bats because I think he was the one out of all of them that said, you know what? I don't need to stick with just the Asians. I can go. And he played the Saturday football as well. It was one of the few that played the Saturday football and went. Obviously, I've seen his injuries firsthand, and he's been very unlucky with his injuries.
Yeah.
He played proper semi-pro football. Yeah, for what it is, like Saturday semi-professional football. at step 3, step 4, whatever it was. But he's played there and he knows the bee's knees about it. But one, that whole group of Asian boys didn't go to Saturday football. 2, as soon as they were done, it was done. There was no emphasis on the youth. I know they tried it a little bit, and I know there's still a team called London Apsa somewhere that plays at under 7s, under 8s, and I know some of them are still trying to do some very, very good things. But for what they were, is what my point I'm making. For what they were and for how big they were, I think they did the new generation a disservice by not giving us. But when I say us, I mean myself as well, because I was one of those upcomings. And I was one of those. And who knows? I don't know that if they sit there and look and think, maybe we should have. Do you understand? Maybe we could have still been. Because I would have happily not had R77, not had Catalans, not had none of that, and taken London Apsa and wore their badge on my chest with pride. When I
listened to that, and I just think, just looking back, I remember the conversation I was having with Zulfi and things like that, and I was like, maybe I didn't do enough either to keep that going, to push them in a certain way, to continue to make them do action and work with others within the area and bring people together. Because Newham-wise, right, the only team we have in Newham really was West Ham, right? And then you had a few others around. But from our representation in them, that our community that should have been embedded within this community, being predominantly Asian, should have been APSA, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The same way that sporting is embedded in Tower Hamlets.
Yeah.
Like, less politics for another day kind of thing, but Sporting Bengal, that's Tower Hamlets, right? London APSA, yes, they're a Newham-based team, but it just felt like they were just a group of lads when they could have been more. And it's two-way, isn't it? Like, did I give them the support they could have got done to push them to do more, because they're saying, there's more people looking at what we're doing, or they feel like we're just alone in this fight? Because like you're saying, you've seen the politics that come about in senior league football and everything else. It's hard to continue that and to have the overall vision and keep pushing forward as well. And there's part of me think, I wish that name was still around.
Yeah.
I wish people down our street were wearing their shirts.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it could have been massive. But that's what I mean. So like me at Arsenal, we're not an adult team. We're not an adult team. And I have no ambition to be an adult team. I don't want to bring my boys to that. I don't want that politics involved in what we're doing, because what we're doing is good. It's positive. There's no negativity involved. We will help our boys to progress to the next level as best as we can. So even when we have boys come out at 16 years old, the next step for them may be go and play Sunday football. Some of them might go play Saturday football. Some of them might be with links with like Billericay and the Essex Senior and Conference South. You can have opportunities, maybe go and play for the under 18s and trial there at least at a minimum, Even if you're playing for those youth setups, we'll do that. But as far as Arsenal is concerned, we stop at 16. And then after that, your journey, you can come and become a coach. If you need help with whatever else, we'll do that for you. But we're not going to step foot on those guys who are already doing Sunday football here, the likes of Milano and the likes of these. No, they're already doing it. I don't want to come into your world. Let me develop the youth. And when they're ready, we'll push them up to you guys. And that for me is massively important, because it's easy. It's not like I don't have the links to have a men's side. I can have the men's side tomorrow if I wanted to. But it's all about this unity that we're talking about. And it's all about this lone wolves. Wolves are strongest when they're in a pack.
100.
And everyone calls themselves a lone wolf. But that lone wolf is... I don't want to swear, but a lone wolf is weak compared to a pack of wolves. And no one's actually ever grasped that metaphor and been like, wait, maybe we need to come together. Maybe we need to be a unit. Maybe we need to have a setup like that where, okay, he's in charge of the youth side. We'll do the adult side. In Newham, we're taking care of everything now. Now, what's going to happen mark my words here, write it down if you want. Go get a piece of paper, write it down. I'm telling you now. I'll tell you this now. There's going to be someone out there who's going to be like, yeah, I like what Rudy's doing. I'll do it as well. Boom. All of a sudden, where we could have had a big hub, we've now got 2 small hubs. You understand? Now, I challenge anyone anyway. I'm being cocky and as confident as you want me to. I challenge anyone. Let's do it. Because the way I built it, I plan to take it to the next level, next level, because I have now support like yourself. I have support from people around, not just East London, but around, to always motivate me to not stop and to not become London APSA. Because I'm using them. People think, why you keep talking about APSA? I'm using them as a motivation and as a positive, because like I said, people should not think that I hold a grudge against APSA, or I've got a problem with APSA. No. I think they inspired me in a sense. Inspiration comes in two ways. It comes positive and negative. They've inspired me from their negatives, have inspired me to make something positive.
I would say rather than negative, you say, look, they got to
limitations,
point, and then they had limitations.
Yeah.
You can appreciate what they've done, because obviously they got a history. We appreciate that. We respect
exactly.
that. You know, you pay homage. And now, what can we do to not start from their point? You know, from what their ground zero was.
Yeah.
Our ground zero is where they left up to.
Yeah.
Now, our ground zero is to build from that. What we tend to do as a community is, fuck it. Sorry, but let's start again.
Yeah.
Let's start again. And I'm going to do my own thing. And everyone just starts from the ground zero point again.
That's the point.
Like, imagine that's your level now. We push it down there. Nah, our guys at APSA, bless them, I got a lot of love for them. They're entertaining on and off the field kind of thing.
I love them. I'm close to all of them.
Amazing individuals, right? They got to that point. Now, let's build up there. And
exactly.
So they can say, we inspired that to happen. Not directly, where we could have had our young'uns doing that philosophy that we had. Maybe they didn't think like that. Do you know what I mean? Maybe people don't. But now you're like, you're thinking like that. You're thinking about philosophy and you're thinking about legacy. And the one thing you mentioned about, say someone else sees what you're doing and they want to replicate it somewhere else in East London. Bless. It's good. As long as they're willing to work together.
That's it.
If you're going to say, you're going to compete, be competitive 100%, but make it healthy. Don't be vindictive and don't be egotistic either, that I can do it better. If you can do it better, awesome. Yeah, the results.
I think what it is, it's the whole student teacher thing. It's like, for example, one of my boys now, hopefully they don't. But if one of my boys break out from R77 and be like, you know what, I can do this on my own somewhere, I'll be like, fair play to you. Go ahead, go do it. Do you understand? Go do it. Bring it. Like, that would be my attitude. Like, let's go. Bring me something. Bring me a challenge. Bring me some competition in my life. But at the same time, if from his branch or his group of players, he had a boy who was sensational, and I knew about it. Nah, you can't be sitting there and be like, nah, he left me, I'm not going to help his boy. Nah. You can't be like that. You got to be able to use your resources and use your links for everybody. And that's the thing, when the door at Billericay, you're right, when the door at Billericay opened, the first few phone calls were, can I get a trial? Can I do this? Can I do that? All right. Look, the reality is I go to watch players without actually informing anyone. I just go, show up, watch 20 minutes and go away. And the reason why I do it is I actually want to see the level.
You never come see me though.
You can't play. You can't play. Nah, I go to see players. You have to go see players. Yeah, and go watch a lot of Asian players. You understand? Especially from the likes of like Milano and stuff like that. I go to watch them because they're young. 24, 25, 23, 22, potentially could be step 2 players. And I look at them and then I try to find why they ain't coming there, or what's the barrier, what's stopping them from coming there. And then having the conversations with their managers and the chairmen and saying to them that, listen, I respect what you're doing. I like what you're doing. But if you're serious about pushing these boys upwards, I'm not going to just take you because I know you. You have to be ready. You have to be able to come over there and challenge that intensity, not only just like cope with it, but be better than it. Do you understand?
Yeah,
and
I agree.
If I can't see that from what I'm seeing in the 20, 30, 40 minutes that I'm coming to watch you, it's like any scout, you know? It's just not going to happen. I'm just not going to take you. And that's got nothing to do with the fact that I know you or I don't know you. That's just got to do with the fact that I don't think you're ready. And football's subjective. That's my opinion. You might think otherwise, but I'm the person who's got to take you in. So that risk is on my head. I'm employed by somebody to bring in footballers. And if I'm bringing in trash week on week, I'm calling them trash. They're not trash. These footballers can play. But I'm saying in terms of the ladder, let's just say if I'm bringing in players who are not up to scratch, well, that trust automatically disappears. That door that I've opened just shuts straight back in my face, because they say, you're not competent enough to do your job. You're only bringing people based on skin color, what makes me different to what the whole Asian parents and Asian people say about white and black scouts? What makes me different in that sense, if that's what I'm doing? Do you understand? So I'm saying to people, educate yourself. Players, educate yourself. Go to watch these sides. Come and watch the Billericay game. See what I mean by intensity. Just see the intensity in the warm-up, and you're going to understand that, okay, like there are levels to this. Then tell me you're ready. Then show me you're ready. And I'm going to come and take you. I'm not going to leave you there. I want people in there, because like I said to you, because I made the statement I made, I'm looking for my people over there.
Yeah.
Whether it be in the crowd, whether it be in the back room, whether it be in the dugout, whether it be as a player. When Dinesh walked in at Billericay, I got Dinesh coming on tomorrow. When he walked in at Billericay, oh my days. You should have seen the smile on my face. As my phone was out, my Instagram was out straight away. I was like, look what the hell I found, bro. I found a brown person.
Yeah.
And he was confused. From his face, he looked confused. Yeah? He didn't understand. But I think he's been watching the pods. He's been watching the pods. And I've been telling him, I've been messaging him prior saying, bro, you are the role model that we need to be talking to.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about role models, we're talking about footballers. We ain't talking about coaches. No one sees me as a role model. Let's be realistic. Only people who are in the coaching journey upwards, they'll see me as a role model. Yeah, but I'm trying to think of when I was a player. I could care less if a coach
Yeah. No, you're going peer to peer, innit? Or who you aspire to be. That's who your role model becomes, right?
When we talk about the young generation, we're talking about footballers. Young footballers don't give a monkeys about who the coach is. They want to see.
Unless you were a Klopp or someone, right?
Different story. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even that. But, okay, I'll take my own club for example. R77. Yeah. How many of my boys from 5 to 16 know about TAF unless I've told him about him? They don't know. So it all comes back to this spotlight, this being in the know, all of that stuff, where it's not just the guys that are doing the work on the pitch that are important. It's not the guys who are in the back room that are important. It's also the media, the business. That it all is hand in hand in essence. Everything comes together full circle. And that's why when we had that conversation yesterday, I think people can know that it was like science, media, coaching. You've got all these different departments coming together, butting heads together and be like, how can we be one unit for all of our people and not just our people? Because what I don't want to be and what I don't want to become is Asian only. Is an Asian coach, Asian footballer, Asian journalist, Asian scientist, Asian. We don't need to associate Asian to us all the time. We know we're Asian. Come on, man. You just need to look at us. Look at the state of us. Bloody hell. Like two Wolverines in a film about to shoot.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that.
Do you understand? So I've always said that to you as well. I said, I'm a football coach. You remember when we used to have the thing that I said, I'm just coach. No, don't call me Asian. I don't want to be called Asian. But now I'm more accepting of it. Now I'm more accepting of the fact that, I am Asian and I am a coach. And you know what? There ain't any other Asian coaches at my level. And you know what? I want to see more Asian coaches at my level. And I want to see more spotlight on Asian coaches.
I got a question for you.
Go on.
How many of your teachers do you remember?
School teachers,
yeah. There must be one or two who've had an impact, or you still remember and still think, I remember one. Miss or sir made an impact, right? Now, teachers are teacher, right? But one makes more impact than the other. Why? Because of the way they are, the way they behave, the way they treat you, right? So you can have 100 million coaches, and I think when you're talking about role models and whether you are a role model or not, it's the impact you leave with these individuals that's important. It's the impact that you've had. I'm not gassing you in any way, but why did they come back to help you when you was your academy? Why should they? Because of something that you've done that's had an impact with them, they thought, all right, cool, I want to then jump on your next project kind of thing. Do you get me? You do have an important role to play as much as Dinesh does. Dinesh is still coming up in the game. quite weary of calling people like that, of like him, role models, in the sense that he's got his own journey to still begin.
I think it's more a case of,
but in terms of who
he's,
he is, he needs, it's that awareness that people are going to look at you in a certain way.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to be confident to wear more than one bow, like more than one, like more than one feather in your cap. You are Asian. You also represent the area you come from. Maybe at sometimes the religion that you are. There's so many factors that you have to carry with you. Don't be overwhelmed by it. Take it day by day. But we also, these people, when you say role models, are they not allowed to make mistakes then? And if they make a mistake, and then it's like, oh, well, he's supposed to be a role model, he should understand the other. We take away the human aspect when you call people role models, isn't it? I just on that point about role models. I like what you're doing. I like what you're doing with this podcast, because what you're showing is you're not just one trick, because you are a coach through and through. That's your passion.
Oh yeah, that's my passion. Yeah.
Okay, and but you also know you have to be able to convey a message. You convey a message to your players when you're coaching them through the language that you use and your actions, but you're also conveying a different message to a different audience. So I'm not a coach, but I'm like, I can get an insight into how you're thinking. I can see what your players are going through as well. Why they want to come back to another session, or why at Billy Ricky, these players would want to listen to you and put whatever you say into fruition. That you do a scouting report on the opposition, say this is why they trust you to provide that information. It's because it's the intent. It's not intent. It's the intention that you have, and you come down to the intention of who you are, the person. That your overall objective isn't look at me who I am. It's like look at me as the person that you employed me to be under, but my purpose is bigger. And that's what we want everyone to understand, that everyone's purpose is bigger than what they are and who they are.
Exactly that.
Right? Like my purpose, I want to break into the media. I'm already fighting so many other causes or like pressures and barriers. But then once I get there, what do? Like getting there is a hard part. Staying there is even harder. And then whose agenda are you then promoting and pushing? Does it agree with mine? There's all those internal moral and ethic barriers that you go through. You know what I'm saying? So there's all of that come into it, and I'm thinking like, this isn't someone else going through that as well?
Yeah.
Do you get me? So I think the more we, I guess we kind of lost the point of what I was trying to say, but it's about, I think it just comes down to the intention part. Like your intention, yes, you mentioned something so important that we're just joking about it, that as soon as you came to Billy Ricky, people start saying, can you get me a trial? Why did they feel comfortable to approach you because you're at Billy Ricky? Why didn't they ring Billy Ricky in the first place? Right? Why didn't they go there in the first place? Because they're suddenly saying, okay, cool, this guy is there now. Maybe he can do something for us. There shouldn't be that expectancy.
No.
But then they should also respect what you say back. If you say, you know what, you're not ready yet, their next thing should be, what do I have to do to be ready? What should I do? No, rather than, what do you know? You ain't helping.
It's like me, I converse with, just before we started the pod, I was talking to Jamie, and he's messaging me about some reports that he wants me to get done during this break that we've got and stuff. And I'm like, cool. But even though we're in a break, a lot of people are seeing it as like we're in a holiday period. You know, do you understand? Like, because we don't know what's happening. My thing is I need to stay relevant though.
Yeah.
Understand? Because that factor is always in the back of my head. I'm a Asian football coach. I have to be better. I'm not saying I have to be the best football coach there is in the entire world. No, that's not what I'm saying. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm there to learn. You have to understand the reason why I chose Billy Ricky. I didn't want to do men's football. Anyone who knows me knows. 5 years ago, I said, I'm not doing men's football ever again. Forget that. Yeah, and that's exactly what I was like. The reason why I wanted to take the Billy Ricky was Jamie O'Hara, Gifton O'Williams, and the players. You know, likes of Ronnie Henry, likes of Femi, like these guys have been in the pro world. They know what it's like, what is the code. Listen, I'm in youth football. I will always say that is my bread and butter. Youth football is my bread and butter. If I can go somewhere where not only am I getting individual experience for myself, I'm getting knowledge that I can take back to my academy and give to them from a first-hand point, then why am I not going to take that opportunity? Because the benefit is bigger than myself. This doesn't just benefit me. Me being at Billericay does not benefit me personally. It don't benefit me financially. It don't benefit me personally. I'm doing all those miles. People can understand is that why are you doing it? Okay, one is an opportunity. Two is an experience. But three, the knowledge that's going to come back with it. Even if I stop tomorrow, I've got enough knowledge to carry me for the next 5 years in terms of youth football. And I'm learning that from experienced individuals. The contacts I'm making here, I'll never be able to make anywhere. So
Yes.
it's not only the job that I'm employed to do. It's not only that. That's my love. I'm going to do that regardless. Do you get me? Even now, when James is asking me, I don't have to do anything that I don't need to do. I want to do it. All right, James, you don't do it. Let me do it. Do you understand? Why are you bothering yourself? Why are you straining yourself? Let me get the report. Let me get the report done and dusted. I'll have the report for you. You analyze the report. You go off my report. But he trusts me enough now to say, cool, Roots, go do it. You watch X, Y, Z. I'll watch X, Y, Z. We'll bring the twos together. And then to get to that, if I finish at this level, for example, this is it. This is the highest I'm ever going to go to. I'm happy. I'm happy. I've done enough. I can go back and focus on what's more important, which is the likes of these youngsters that I got coming through. Boys who I know are more than ready to go and kick it in the big world, whether that be at step 2, step 1 in the Premier League, the national team. The national team has always been the objective. So when someone says to me the ambition, the dream, it's the national team. Always. You always look at the national team. Forget Billericay. Forget Man United. National team. Can you go and rep your country at World Cup? If you do that and you coming out of my academy, I've done everything I need to do. I'm at peace after that. You ain't gonna give me £1 million. I'm at peace at that. Yeah, I've done my bit. So every time I see a 4-year-old walk into the club, national team. Can we go to the national team? And the next 4-year-old comes. Can we go to the national team? And the next 4-year-old comes. Can we go to the national team? I think if we have that mindset across the board, across Asians, managers, coaches, players, I ain't got to be that guy. But if I can help the next guy be that guy, then by all means, that is what we are in a sense. Yourself, myself, Nav, who will hopefully bring on here, Shani, who will hopefully bring on here. These guys are going to be sending the same message. You've been sending this message for 15 years. And on that, what would be your one message to Asian parents, players, coaches, anyone who's watching this right now, Asian or non-Asian? What will be your message? Predominantly Asian, let's say Asian market. What will be your message to them in terms of the next 5 years? What are we looking for exactly?
What are we looking for? Okay, I think if I could say one thing, and just to our community in general, just put the ego aside. Understand that there's certain people who can do better than what we can. We should be healthy, competing with each other, but not always take everything as a criticism or think, I don't trust what this guy's saying, because we're so mentally fragile as a community. Like maybe sometimes with having the immigrant mentality that we're always over thankful for the opportunities we have. We should be. Don't get me wrong. But if I've been doing this for 10, 15 years, and I was speaking to my mom about this before, I said, I've been doing 10, 15 years, right? But sometimes I feel like I know nothing. I know very little. And I don't know whether that's imposter syndrome, meaning that I shouldn't be here, or the fact that it's the scholar mentality. I'm not saying I'm a scholar, but the scholar mentality that they study all their lives, but whether it's mysticism or religion. And they say, by the end of their life, they're like, we know very little. Because they learn so much, they understand, they realize that they understand very little with even all that knowledge. We should have that sort of mentality in a way that we're constantly learning, but we need to put ego aside and say, do you know what? There is someone who knows better. I can talk to another, brown face about this, and if he says something which I don't necessarily agree with, let me understand why he's saying that, rather than just jumping there, no, he's wrong. Like you were saying, if a kid comes to you, if a parent brings a kid to you and say he needs to work on X, Y, and Z, then trust that information and work on X, Y, and Z. When there's like right now in a down period, if you spoke to all parents and make sure your kids are doing these things while they're off school and there's no outside activity going on, do these activities in the house and let them do 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes. They should respect that and do it. I think you have to respect the word of the person you're putting your trust in. They're trusting you as a coach, send your kids to you. So if you say something, they should understand that there's a reason why you're saying it. You then, in terms of being at Billy Ricky and doing any scouting missions, they should respect that what you say as a scout. Say, yeah, you're not quite ready yet, but this is what you need to do. They need to understand that there's levels in this game. I think we all need to understand the levels. Yeah. And if you say you are a good player at this level, but where we are, say at step 2, I'm just using it as an example, at step 2, you would not make it because of X, Y, and Z. You need to study a bit more. And then it's down to the individual. The individual has to take the steps. The other thing I'd say is take your example. Don't expect handouts. Don't expect someone to do something for you. You have to go and push for it. With the understanding that it may not come to fruition.
Exactly.
That nothing is promised, right? But when I started my journalism career, I had 2 aims. They might come in fruition, I never know. There was the 2 aims I had was I wanted to be head of sport at the BBC, and the other one was I wanted to edit the Observer Sport Monthly. Now that magazine don't exist no more, but that was like my kind of aim. That's what I spent my teenage years like aiming towards, and I did the internship with the Guardian, which was amazing. And that's where I thought I'd end up. And anyway, I thought I'd end up at HNI and whatnot, but that's just the journey I had to take, right? But if I never had those high ambitions, like you say, the high ambition for you is the national team. If you don't set that ambition high, then you're not going to work towards it. Like we're talking about apps, so there's a limitation where you get to a certain point. Don't put limits on your ambition, but understand the reality is you may not get there. That's it. And be comfortable with the fact. It's part of the journey, isn't it? And you might be pushing one way and end up somewhere else. Catlands led to Billericay. Catlands, once the flats led to step 2 in the National League, Pyramid. Another 5 years, it's Billericay might get to League One conference, League One championship. So there's putting the ego aside, respect what people say to you, understanding why they're saying it to you. Not everyone's going to say the right things, of course, and question them on it. Just don't react to it from a kind of combative position. Just be like, all right, let me understand what he's saying and then take it from that point. And the third is that don't put a limitation on your kind of ambition. That's what I'd say. And I've always been like that. I've always been, I don't like putting limitations on myself. Even though I might not be there, the fact is I'm still ambitious. Like I've got, God knows how many years I've got left in life, but I'm always going to be pushed high as possible.
I think that's a fitting message to end the pod on, to be honest, that those 3 points, you know what? Like this conversation it literally is that. It's a conversation. There was no subject matter. We ain't talking about nothing in specific. We're talking about all sorts of, everything's going out there. Me, right now, I'm thinking in my head, what the hell am I going to title this?
It's called a conversation.
Conversation, Desi Ballrs. That's the one. Yeah. But that's just what it is,
Just say we're aiming for England. That's what we're saying, isn't it?
Aiming for England. That's the thing. That's what we're aiming for. Look, people think that just because you have a dream or an ambition that if you don't reach it, you failed. No. That's not the case. It's not the case whatsoever. I mean, it's like what you said, isn't it? That you want to be at the Observer and the magazine don't exist anymore. Like, how can you be called a failure? You can't, can you? It's things change, things happen, times change, coronavirus comes. You understand? We don't know what's about to happen. You get me? So I think we just take.
Just talk about coronavirus, right? So Liverpool, 30 years waiting to win the title. Yeah, 30 years waiting to win the title.
No, don't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Realistically saying that, so you're waiting 30 years, your team has absolutely smashed it this year, and now this has happened. You have to wait a bit longer for that dream to realise. Just leave it at that.
I'm saying nothing to Liverpool fans. Liverpool fans, you are champions, okay? Just take it. Take your Corona title. It's all right. No one will respect that title. Take it. Take it. Zohaib, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Guys, this guy's a legend. He's going to be back here. Trust me, we've got this long period. He's coming back. Next time, we're going to have a subject matter.
Hopefully, next time I'll be sitting with you. We'll do it like in the same room.
Oh, yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. But while we've still got this social distancing, you're not done, basically, is what I'm saying to you. You're coming back on.
Yeah, for real.
You hear me? Even if it's once a week, you come back on. We have a subject matter. We talk about it. Boom, push it. You hear me?
Let's do it.
And then we're gonna have the freeway as well, isn't it? Because we've got to get another one.
Yeah, for real, bro. Listen, like you said, this is just a start, no subject matter. But there's so much that we could be talking about. I think there's a more important thing is that dialogue and communication. The more people you talk to, the more people you get this out to, the better. Whether they listen to what I gotta say, it's not the point. It's about how much can we push that good message out there on whatever platform it is. Let's do that.
I think what I got to do next time though is that I got to post you a R77 top or something, because I can't be looking at that for the whole thing. Right? It's too much.
I'm gonna go through my whole wardrobe and dig out all the kits from the years.
It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. You know what to do: like, share, subscribe. Make sure you put this out there. He's got reach everywhere, so he's gonna be pushing this to the whole nation, because that's where he's got reach. I promise you. Check him out. His socials will be there somewhere there. My socials will be somewhere there. Hit us up if you want to jump on the pod. Let me know. And if you just want to have a conversation with Zohaib, hit him up. He's quite friendly. Just
sometimes.
don't ask him to send you people's contacts on Instagram, because he ends up sending you some Shannons and stuff, and I don't know who they are.
I missed the letter. Forgive me.
He's trying to get me in trouble anyway. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Zohaib, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll speak again soon, 100%. Everybody, stay safe and peace.
Later, brother.
My bro.